yeah, the basically this gentleman had tweeted the U.S. FDA considers alcohol to be a food and not a drug, and he's like, and I'm hard pressed to think of a more ridiculous take. Um, I agree. I don't know why. The only reason that there's a lot of reasons as to why the FDA wants certain things to be labeled as a food, certain things to be labeled as a drug. It allows them to, push forward their narrative about what is acceptable for you to ingest and what isn't, and continue to villainize certain things, even though other things do very similar things that are legal. They want to say that, only these things do these things, and then, of course, hype up the dangers. Not to say that there are no dangers, but nowhere near as much as what the FDA or anyone would lead you to believe, as we've shown here. Like that fentanyl exposure, literally the cop saying that touching
The
the very
fentanyl fate.
just touching fentanyl, yeah, um, made him faint. That doesn't make any sense. That's not how drugs work. But that's the level of it's the same kind of stuff that they say with like secondhand smoke and all this other stuff. That's the level of danger that they need it to be. They need to make it as harmful as possible, not just to the user, but to everyone and everything and the whole world, just for existing, because its very touch is nearly fucking radiation, apparently.
All right, but hold up now. Hold up now. I don't know about all secondhand smoke, right? But I've been motherfucking hotboxed before. So, I mean, that shit's real.
Yeah, sure. The you could get the same. I mean, you can get a contact high, absolutely,
That's
from
not contact high. That's that fucking smoke is everywhere and no escape.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not a contact
Not a
high.
bad
You're
smoke.
literally like, that's the thing though. It's not
I'm not complaining.
right, but that's what I'm saying. If you're being hotboxed, like you're literally breathing in smoke, you're basically taking bong rips. Like you're not just, it's not secondhand smoke at that point. You're literally inhaling actual THC just like everybody else in that box is. But like with just like cigarettes, like the most of the studies that actually like have linked this secondhand smoking thing are really, really shaky. Like we do have very clear links, right? Not direct cause again, but links that cigarettes are not a good thing for you. And I'm sure that whatever, what that it's like no duh, if you're exposed to the smoke, there's a chance like your risk is but like they've tried to like go as far as to prove that just like even one single puff, just literally inhaling one single puff of secondhand tobacco smoke literally changes your DNA forever, and can that one inhale can be the catalyst leading up to the eventual lung cancer, the very first and only time you've ever been exposed. Like they literally like try to push it to that level. And that's the problem I have with it. Only that.
Right? Cigarettes versus pure tobacco.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was gonna
Like
enjoy some
cigarettes are so much
tobacco,
more than pure tobacco.
yeah, cigarettes are definitely way more dangerous than regular. Just
They added
stick some tobacco, straight up naturally grown tobacco, or whatever normally, whatever natural is, right? I'm not trying to be really holistic here. I'm just trying to use natural, like the standard practice of growing that plant without any kind of crazy additives or trying to make it grow,
right
a certain
having
kind of way.
the leaf versus all the stuff that you mix in with the leaf.
Right. And that kind of tobacco, I don't feel like there's anything really wrong with that.
There's not, and it's wonderful for a lot of people. It helps them a lot.
Right, exactly. So can car fumes. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, car fumes are definitely inhalable, and the smoke from those things is not healthy for human beings, yet we accept it as a natural. Um, it's
Carbon
just a
dioxide,
thing
carbon monoxide,
that's gonna happen.
monoxide, right? That's the one.
dioxide.
Was
We
which one was the one that
exhale.
we exhale? One of them is the one we exhale, and the other one is the one that cars exhale. I think we're carbon
I'm
dioxide,
not sciencey enough on this.
and then the cars is the monoxide. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm sciencey enough because I'm a fucking cyborg, I guess. Look, I'm not, a fucking the fuck are they even called? The ones that an air scientist. I don't know.
We got called a pothead today, I think, a bunch by this one guy.
They're called a pothead.
Yeah, got called
All
us a
right.
pothead.
I mean, I am a pothead. I accept that title.
He said, where was it? It was on this guy. Yeah, it was on Mr. Clown here.
Which one?
Oh
Which part of
wait, he blocked me. Oh man, so
he
sad.
blocked
This is
you
like our third
already?
block. Yeah. Oh well. So yeah, this guy basically said, have changed my mind on whether cannabis use can cause psychotic disorders. Used to say not real, just a correlation. But with higher THC products, heavier use patterns, and some stronger research designs, I now think that was too optimistic on my part. So maybe that I'm not trying to push back that there isn't studies that you know higher THC content stuff may lead to. I don't think that that leads to heavier use patterns in my experience with literally seeing it and selling it directly to people for years now in a legal market. I don't think that that is accurate. But I'm sure that you could design research studies that proved, that the higher THC products maybe were more potent in a certain sense, right? But anyway, this lady Aubrey Adams, this soccer mom that loves former Colorado mom, which we still don't know what that means, um, said, "Thank you. I'm in touch with hundreds of families living the marijuana psychosis nightmare." And then I asked her if she was in touch with the billions that it was helping. Like I said, this guy has now limited that I can't see his tweets anymore. But oh well. Basically, a guy tried to argue with me and told me that he ended up making the claim that all mass shootings, he said, every mass shooting that has ever happened in the history of mankind can be linked to marijuana psychosis. This is what he said to me. Every single one. Fucking Columbine, I guess all of them. Just every mass shooting ever. He said marijuana psychosis. Every single one. I was like, wow. Well, I don't know where we can even talk. Like, I don't know what I can say to someone like that from there. So, I just called him a clown. The other thing to talk about, though, this was the article. Okay, so we're gonna go in now. Every Brain Matters is a account and little website that loves to make anti-pot stuff. And they created this one that says our son has cannabis use disorder and cannabis induced psychosis. This is happening all across the country to a lot of kid. It just says kid. It cuts off on the picture, but that's okay. And it's got this kid and he's sitting in front of this thing and it says for weed. I don't really know like what this is supposed to be. Like it just says for weed. Like what for weed? Is he gonna like suck some dick? Like I don't understand what this like for weed like it doesn't say what he's gonna be doing outside of that.
Like, will he do a good job though?
Well, I don't know what he's willing to do at all. It just says for weed. This literally this whole whoever their graphic designer is, whoever like thought that this was a good idea, clearly needs to smoke some more pot so that he understands like how to be an artist.
Plus, I don't think that this guy
It
would
literally makes no sense. It's not even a cohesive image.
because that's like not a great thing if a cop goes by.
But if you think that image doesn't make sense,
Oh my god! And we're talking about kids.
just wait.
So that
Just
means that this dude in the
wait.
picture is a kid.
Yeah, he's like a teenager.
Holy shit!
Well,
What is
anyway,
this
now he's
teenager gonna
20.
do
Now
for
he's
weed?
20. He's her kid, though. This isn't from the perspective of the kid, by the way. We don't know anything about what the kid's opinion on this is. But like I said, let's just get into this, and you're gonna see. This is what every brain matters, though. This is the kind of bullshit that they're promoting. Okay, so our son has cannabis use disorder, which isn't a real thing, chat. And yes, it is a real thing. I'm not denying science or denying medical claims, but I would go as far as to say that it's just as real as alcohol use disorder or any kind of use disorder. If you want to characterize a certain behavior pattern and give it a label, then sure, we can call it that. But that is not like some kind of disorder in the sense of this is not genetic. This is not like something that cannabis makes happen within you. This is just that you have a problem abusing something in your life, junk food use disorder, I don't know, whatever. And they just want to label it so that they can treat it because then you're a patient and then they can make money off of you. That is not to say, again, that cannabis use cannot be detrimental. It absolutely can be to some people. But anyway, let's get into this article because, good God, the picture that this thing paints. So this was published 4 days ago. My son Kay, who is 20, had 2 very serious cannabis-induced psychotic breaks in the last year and a half that were absolute hell. As Kay was growing up, he played soccer, hockey, and tennis, and we all spent time together with my family at the lake house every summer. He was never in trouble at school or had any trouble with the law. When he was in the 8th grade, he joined the Sheriff Cadets program and really seemed to enjoy that. He was actually looking at possible law enforcement career. He seemed pretty happy. So I guess that they're trying to paint this as a like, hey, this kid was like being indoctrinated into like becoming a cop and shaking down the poor and enforcing the drug war and other such amazing experiences for him. But then, of course, he got high. So anyway, let's continue. So in high school, haha, how funny in high school. Things seemed to change. He began spending huge amounts of time online playing games. Oh no, those video games.
Ooh.
They seemed to suck him into his room and he became isolated. Oh, the video game's just taking you away from reality. Watch out now. Looking back now, I can see that he probably started smoking cannabis around his sophomore year, and his grades really got bad during his junior and senior years.
That sucks.
In his first semester of college, we thought he was a little depressed and maybe had anxiety. He totally flunked out of all his classes. Since he was living in the dorms, we hadn't realized he was not going to class and smoking heavy amounts of cannabis. He moved back home as he was suspended from college because of grades. Then, he somehow got a medical marijuana card. Things got super weird with him and we don't know why. We were arguing with him all the time regarding the way he was acting. His friends would call us and have to drive him home as he was acting really strangely. Now, note that they don't say anything about what he was doing that was strange, or like it just says they just keep saying things got super weird, man.
How could his friends not know he was smoking?
Yeah.
Just slap.
Kay left our house. Hold on. Kay left our house one night, and we thought he was staying with a friend. The next day, my husband passed him on the street on his way home from work. He was standing in front of the homeless shelter. He came home and told me, and I immediately drove down there and found him. He was completely out of his mind. He was delusional and talking about being sent there by God. He had been walking into businesses acting weird, again, weird, whatever that means, and walking into moving traffic. Whoa. He had 6 interactions with law enforcement in one day. Why did they not stop him after the second or third one? My question.
Right.
Kay thought some of the homeless were his friends, and they eventually stole his car and everything in it. It took over a week of calling the police, but we were finally able to get a hospital to keep him, fearing for his safety. It was extremely hard as he was over the age of 18. This was his first psychotic break, and we had to involuntarily commit him to the psychiatric hospital for 3 weeks. Wait. This is where it starts to get a little weird. So, who told you that you had to commit him? The state, did the state say the weed is making him so crazy that we have no choice but to force him in, ma'am?
Well, apparently they didn't find a lot of hospitals that would fucking take him.
Right. Yeah. It said that they had to involuntarily commit him. I feel like that's who is forcing them to commit this person?
The police.
For cannabis use.
The police. If the police take you to a psychiatric hospital, the psychiatric hospital has to then take you, no matter what.
The psychiatrist told us it was cannabis-induced psychosis, and he should never smoke again, or this would probably happen again. So they blamed it all on the weed. It was cannabis-induced psychosis. So all of his weird behavior, all of that, thinking that the homeless are your friends, which by the way, the homeless are your friends. Now I'm not saying
people.
that yeah, I'm not saying that you should absolutely trust every homeless person and that you should tell them where you live and what your locker combination is, right? But the homeless are your friends. They are just people. They should be treated with dignity just like people. So I don't know why it's weird to be friendly with homeless people. They're using that as an example, of course, just using the homeless as stigmatizing homeless people further, as always. Anyway, so we couldn't believe that cannabis could do this to someone. Yeah, I can't either. I still don't believe it. We began to educate ourselves on this and do what we could to help him through it. Fast forward 8 months, thinking our son would never smoke cannabis again. The second psychotic break came as a surprise, and it was way worse. After our older son told us Kay was smoking again, we told him to either move out or stop smoking. Yeah, that's gonna work. So basically, you, such great parents, told him, hey, if you won't stop smoking the reefer, we're gonna put you on the street. Now we're gonna make you one of the homeless people, and you are using you're literally causing this person more mental trauma by doing something like that. You're gonna cause more mental issues than any toke of cannabis ever would by putting them on the street, you as their family, and you're posting this as if we had no choice. It's horrible of you. That's horrible.
We had no
You're a horrible
choice but to
person.
kick him out. It's he has a mental condition.
Right.
Kick him out.
Literally, the psychiatrist said he has cannabis use disorder, and this and you're like, we didn't want to deal with your disorder, so we told him, if you can't just quit cold turkey, if you don't know how to just instantly do that right now, then we're kicking you out and putting you on the street, because that's what you deserve, you pothead.
Great parents do. Great parents force their kid into a psychiatric hospital to get them, committed and to have a disorder label attached to them. And then when the disorder acts up, we don't want to deal with that shit. Get the fuck out of our house.
Fucking pothead. Oh fuck. Anyway.
What do you think about this addiction can be genetic though?
Oh
From the Ms.
no,
Mel.
don't get me started.
Get started.
Yeah, there's the science on that is extremely shaky at best, and most of that has been uh it's tied to the same kind of research that basically tried to prove that like black people had lower IQs because they're like their skulls were different shaped, and yeah, the way, to me, the way that it makes the most sense in which genetic disorders can continue on is that so obviously you're going to gain certain chromosomes and things from your parents. So when you do that, right, you might develop a brain that's similar. Like obviously it's going to be your own brain, it's going to be unique and different. But it could develop in similar ways, and so the brain may have a different brain chemistry. Like you may have a similar brain chemistry level to
It's like
someone who you got part of that brain from, but your neurochemical imbalances are not like even the science that
let
um
me-
the science on neurochemical imbalances being the cause for like issues in the mind isn't entirely factual science. Like that really only like it's most therapy and neurochemistry, like stuff like pills, psychiatry only really has about a 50% efficacy rate, like at best. And so like if it's half and half, that's not really like, we don't really have a definitive like, oh yeah, this is actually the way. Like brain chemistry has to do with how your thoughts work. We know it, like they're linked, but we don't know, like, I think like all of the parts of your body are linked to the mind in
I mean,
certain ways.
let me just say though, I think addiction might actually be real. Because you know what? My mom,
Well,
she
addiction is real.
loved ice cream, you know? And now I love ice cream.
Right, but everybody loves ice cream. Humans love ice cream. That's
Yeah,
not
ice cream is
genetic.
fucking great. I think the entire human race has an addiction to ice cream.
Well, that's because sugar. We have an addiction to sugar, for sure.
Yeah. This addiction is real and
We're
it's genetic.
we're gonna make a
I
video on
got
that
past
too.
the sugar addiction for sure.
We're definitely gonna. You didn't get past the sugar addiction. You got born into a society that pushes sugar down your throat from a young age, and uh,
I don't know, bro. I
it's
think
literally
that
like
the
taught.
brain chemistry of my mother, right, loves sugar.
Mm,
And that same kind of I love sugar brain pattern
you're
will
right.
get passed on to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if my
Or
dad loves sugar, then his brain pattern of loving sugar is also going to get passed on to me.
mm, I don't think that's exactly how that works.
Because their brains were like, sugar's great. Why won't our son love sugar?
Well, their brains weren't necessarily like the correlation doesn't go directly like sugar is great, right? It's like sugar hits your tongue and activates the sensors there, and then it sends those signals up to your brain, and then it releases certain molecules, and then those molecules create brain states in which you then are in, and then those brain states are like nice and pleasant, and so then you grow accustomed, or in some cases addicted to those brain states, and then you continually do whatever it is that got you there, which in this case would be eat more sugar.
Yep. But yeah, ice cream is so much more than sugar, though.
So anyway, back to this lady kicking her kid out. So
Right.
he allowed himself to be. So yeah, we told him to either move out or stop smoking. He packed up everything he had in his car. He only had this car for a couple months after losing his last car. And he left town. I don't know why they had to like add that line in. That sounds kind of just like the mom just throwing some shade. Like he only had this car for a couple months after losing his last one.
But he got another car.
Yeah, but like, why is this even like relevant information?
He got a car though. That your son who's smoking weed is somehow paying for a car,
Right, or maybe they got it for him. I don't know.
for a second car.
He somehow allowed himself to become acquainted with a 48-year-old guy who had been in prison. Oh no. A total thief. Oh, fuck that guy freaking stealing because he's poor and hungry and shit.
And in prison, and because he can't.
And
get
he can't even get a good job because he was in prison. Fuck that guy. It's all his fault. This is so prohibitionist, like this whole line right here. This is like the most, like if this doesn't describe the prohibitionist mindset, so like
Normally, to go to prison, you have to commit a felony, and felony drug charges,
a total thief.
federal marijuana charges.
This man convinced Kay to drive down to California with him. Our son had enough money from a tax refund and his last check to leave town and head to California. He told us this is where he was on the rare occasions he answered his phone, but he wouldn't tell us for sure exactly where. From what we understand, he went to Seattle, Portland, and down to California.
Hold up. Are you telling me that this guy fucking had money to buy 2 cars, still have his tax return in his bank account, and had his last paycheck before he quit the job and leave?
Apparently, he went to Seattle, Portland, and then down to California.
Drug problem?
Okay, now wait a minute. So your son, okay, hold on. It gets worse. So our son had enough money right from the tax refund to go to California. He told us where he was on the rare occasions he answered his phone, but he wouldn't tell us for sure. From what we understand, he went to Seattle, Portland, and down to California. We were desperate. Wait, why were you desperate? You kicked him out. You just said earlier in your story that you kicked him out of the house. What were you desperate for? And you reported him as a...
Actually, not even that they kicked him out, that they gave him this ultimatum that they were going to kick him out, or that they were going to, or if he didn't stop smoking.
Right.
And then he just decided to leave.
Right.
He was like, no, you're not going to kick me out. I'm just fucking leaving. I have money. I can afford to leave.
They said we were desperate and I reported him as a missing person and tracked him on Snapchat. Wait. You kicked him out. You told him, get out if you can't kick the weed. He leaves.
You knew he went to California.
He told you where he was going. Just he didn't tell you exactly where because he doesn't have to because he's an adult and you kicked him out of the house.
And then when the man is busy, he can't answer your phone. It's like he can't always be on the phone with you. He's busy living his life outside of your environment.
Right. He's left the nest.
But no, junkie for weed, right? He's able to live out in California and apparently afford a cell phone still.
Right. But see, this is the problem, and this is what the government does with the drug thing. This is where people just get infantilized, right? And so, like, the big papa government knows what's good for you, and so, like, don't even worry about that stuff. That stuff's illegal, and it's illegal for a reason. We're protecting you. And so, like, it's the same kind of, like, infantilization that happens here, where this mother who kicked her son, her adult son at this point, he was an adult, out of the house, and then he who was able to afford his car, able to afford a phone bill, able to, he had a job. He was probably going to be able to do all that again in California. They reported him as a missing person. They spoke with law enforcement all through California and informed them of what was going on. Because I had him listed as a missing person, law enforcement would call anytime there was an interaction. Since my son was in psychosis, because she knows this, right? According to her, he was very vulnerable and had no idea or insight about people or places.
Let me read this next part after you finish the sentence.
Yeah, I just finished the sentence.
Oh, okay. He was tased at a homeless camp because he was staying in an Antifa homeless camp. And the Antifa people weren't homeless. They had homes to go back to after this was fucking over. It was a protest that was allowed by the city, where they just took over that block. They took over that area in a protest. There wasn't a freaking homeless tents camping out there. They had homes to return to. They were camping out there as a movement.
So it sounds like he went out there to protest.
They weren't homeless. Yeah, it sounds like he went to go protest.
Right, with his 48-year-old friend.
And,
who had been in prison.
That was a progressive person trying to change the world.
They say that the man that he was traveling with stole his car with everything he owned in it. Well, that really sucks.
Not fix the world, change the world. I have no idea if it would fix it.
He would call intermittently, but he was also delusional. He had no idea what was really going on. He was, of course, only the mom knew what was going on, right?
Only the mom, who apparently didn't like,
who wasn't even there,
didn't understand her son's Antifa beliefs,
who kicked him out of the house.
Right? It's like, he's delusional. He thinks Donald Trump is evil. A lot of people thought Donald Trump was evil. That's why there was the Antifa movement in the first place, is they were protesting Donald Trump. It's like, my son is delusional. He doesn't support the president of the United States.
He finally called, but was so delusional we couldn't have a clear conversation. I'm sure she would honestly think that was a delusion. All I could do was pray law enforcement would get him to a hospital. This literally, you kicked him out of the house, then you report him as a missing person, and then you
hope they commit him.
You want him to be committed again, and you care about him all of a sudden again. And you continually keep interfering in his life and calling the police on him, and
right.
Jesus. He was arrested in California for stealing a car. He thought it was his car and spent the night in jail. He finally called, but was so delusional he couldn't have a clear conversation. Finally, a sheriff's deputy called. Kay was on the side of the road trying to get into the casino. Because they saw he was reported missing, they called me. After pleading and explaining what was going on, he decided to have him involuntarily committed. Thank God. Nice. Thank God. This lady clearly has no idea what goes down in a psychiatric hospital. If she's saying thank God that they put him in there, because they just gave him, guess what? A bunch of drugs, a bunch of really crazy drugs too, some wild shit, that just does not make you feel okay.
Sounds like maybe this guy was maybe a little drunk and walked up to a car that looked kind of like his car. And so he tried to get it to work, but it wouldn't work because it's not his car. So then when police are walking around, they see this dude, trying to bust his window open because he's pissed that he can't get in his own car. And then maybe they think he's trying to break in.
This is,
I don't know.
Course,
that might have happened. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I don't know. Neither was she.
Right? Neither was she. She has no idea what was going on.
This is all just her testimony only.
Right? Just what she assumes happened and is
While
happening.
she was calling the police on him repeatedly and saying that he was making no sense, even though she doesn't actually say any of the weird behavior. She just keeps saying weird behavior, basically saying like, hey, my son changed and he didn't want to be a police officer anymore. And like, he actually like grew up and changed in a way that I was unfamiliar with.
And became a protester.
And like, it's clearly because of this crazy marijuana psychosis that he just like it sent him for such a loop that he was just changed forever in a way that now he's just like just crazy and he's just like dancing with homeless people.
Probably weren't even homeless people. Probably were just hippies.
Probably were just people at this encampment site that was a protest.
Right? What if they weren't homeless people though? What if like she's just
Right. She doesn't. She's the one that doesn't know what's
she's the
going
one that
on.
sounds pretty delusional.
Finally, a sheriff's deputy called. Kay was on the side of the road trying to get into a casino. Because they saw he was reported missing, they called me. After pleading and explaining what was going on, he decided to have him involuntarily committed.
Why was he trying to get into a casino? Because probably to party.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, is that a bad thing that he wants to party?
Kay stayed in a California psychiatric hospital for another 3 weeks. Then my husband and I drove down to California to pick him up and bring him home. You kicked him out of his home. You are like really giving this kid whiplash. We recently discovered our son had started smoking cannabis again and was in psychosis again, but seems to know he has to stop. He is staying in a family member's garage as we are arguing all the time. We put boundaries up and they are holding firm.
They kicked him out again?
I guess so.
So they kicked him out again? He's staying at whose garage?
In a family member's garage. That's like not a humane like living condition.
So it's like so he started smoking again. So we forced him to go sleep in my sister's garage. Kicked him out of the house again. Get the fuck out.
We put up boundaries and we are holding firm. No weed at all. All caps exclamation point.
So how old is this kid? He's an adult.
I think at this point he was an adult. Yeah, he was old enough to have a job and to have a car and everything,
and to be able to leave.
Right. He is staying in a family.
Why are they still treating him like a child?
Because crazy helicopter parents.
Don't come home.
Crazy helicopter parents.
He was living his life over there until you came and grabbed him.
Before you labeled him as a missing person and had the police commit him and convinced him that he was in psychosis because he was smoking weed.
He couldn't fucking make his own decisions. Then you fucking take him home. You basically force him now to come home from his life in California.
Yeah. Because of what happened in California with the car theft charge, he is being held responsible to follow doctor recommendations, taking medication as directed by his doctor. Cool. Wait. This line right here. Because of what happened in California with the car theft charge, he is being held responsible to follow doctor recommendations, taking medication as directed by his doctor, and being drug tested regularly. Drug tested while taking medication. Medication is drugs, chat. Medication is drugs. These are not two different things. These are the same thing. He is being tested for certain drugs, but drug tested just means there again, you can test for every kind of possible drug.
Pretty sure it's dead.
And the doctor is now putting him on other drugs, but these are legal drugs. So in every Brain Matters world, it's okay to give your brain the legal drugs that they force down your throat in psychiatric hospitals that are super insanely potent and, meant to like sedate people literally. Not to mention, of course, all of the pills and medications, right? That the doctor gives you are totally fine. Though all of those drugs are acceptable in the world of Every Brain Matters, but marijuana, that's the one. That's where they draw the line. You can't have this plant that occurs naturally in nature, in your possession. You can't grow it and use it like other plants. And you should all be locked up in jail. And this thing just needs to stay in Pandora's box, far away from the public, and this big scary thing will finally go away. That's the belief here. We now know. Wait. Because of what happened, he has agreed to do what they ask in order to keep from getting a felony conviction. We now know our son has cannabis use disorder and cannabis-induced psychosis and will continue to have psychotic breaks whenever he uses. Who knew? This is the most god-awful thing I or my family has ever gone through. My husband... Wait, this is the most god-awful thing that she's ever gone through. That her husband's ever gone through. Not the kid. Not the kid who got shoved into the psych ward twice and forced pills down his throat. Not the kid who has to now piss and make sure that he's not doing any kind of weed so that mommy will rest safe and assured that he's not going to go cray-cray again.
Cray-cray is just like getting away from his parents.
But yeah, the fact that she looks at this as a thing that her husband and her family had to go through. What a terrible ordeal for them.
Hold up. This guy was in California, had the money to come up to Seattle and join the Antifa protest, and then had the money after the Antifa protest to go back to California.
Yeah, well, I don't know where they were living originally. I don't know where they were living originally. It doesn't say where they first started.
Well, they said that they.
It said he went to Seattle, then to Portland, then to California.
Yeah. He had travel money and weed money.
Apparently. My husband is an attorney and I have a bail bond business.
Like
oh, wow.
Money?
Wow.
What a conflict of interest.
Wow. Your husband is an attorney, so he profits off of the legal system and the injustice of it. Right. And you have a bail bond business. You literally profit off of caged human beings and off of the fact that these laws allow you to... You know that these laws are constantly going to be broken, the marijuana ones. And so you fucking... I can't believe that they would even admit this in this article. That's so insane to me. Look at
this. It doesn't even say what kind of attorney. I bet you it's like traffic, or I bet you it's like traffic shit, or like something that where you break the law.
Am I getting punked? Like, is this even a real website? Like,
right? So you maybe go to jail. Bail is set at this amount. Here, kid, I'm your lawyer. These guys are the best. These guys are the fucking best. And then he just hands him a card to his wife's fucking bail bond business so that he can get his client out of jail and get his wife some money. Like they're fucking just working together. Send him the High Road Hero 1.
Oh, it's just a content factory.
Okay. No, just put it to Hyrule Heroes. Yeah, give him that one. Give him that one. Enter your name. Yeah, you tell him, son of a
We're gonna
bitch.
see what they say. I don't know if this website's like actually trying to just punk me or not, but
I don't know. But yes, the husband is an attorney, most likely criminal attorney. So those guys make pretty good money because everyone gets into an accident or and then they have to go. Then they get arrested for drunken conduct or whatever. And then it's like, oh, you got to get out of jail. Here's a bail bond service. So now the attorney who you have to trust to win you your case has handed you a bail bond service, and if you don't use it, he's gonna know that you didn't use it because he's just gonna ask his wife, "Hey, did he do it?"
bail bond companies help individuals who have been charged with criminal offenses live outside of jail legally while awaiting trial. State laws regulate bail bond companies, and the regulations can be quite complex. Entrepreneurs who might be considering getting into this business should be aware that there is a strong trend among activists and legal groups to advocate the elimination or reduction of cash bail requirements in the court system, which may render bail bond companies obsolete. They should. They should get rid of these companies.
And the bails.
People should not profit off of the poor and off of the criminal or people who break the law. And they should be given the same opportunity to walk around like everybody else if given, and not just have to pay premium for the VIP experience.
Right? You shouldn't have to pay like $300 to get out of jail.
Right. Why?
And then so that you $300 you probably don't have, or $1,000, whatever the bail was set at that you don't have.
Do you know how much?
Because nobody has just $300 or $400 normally just lying around.
You know how much fucking money a bail bond company probably makes off of marijuana being illegal and being a chargeable offense?
Right?
How many like small time dealers get locked up and get bailed out constantly?
Yeah.
She would lose so much money if marijuana was to be legalized.
She would.
Like a lot?
Yeah. So of course she's gonna fight it.
I can't believe that she put that in there. Like it honestly just it creates such a, like you said, just a major conflict of interest.
Yo, do you think that she used her own bail bond company to bail her son out of jail in California?
Maybe.
Right? And now she has his bail.
So she said, I guess the reason, this next sentence, the reason that she said that she has a bail bond business and worked in the court system for 14 years is to say that we are not unfamiliar with the criminal world.
It sounds more like what she's saying is that my company paid my son's bail, but I made it, but I now own my son's bail because I'm in charge of the same company. And so if he fucking smokes marijuana, I'm just gonna, if he tries to leave again, I'm gonna have him in breach of bail and then send bounty hunters after you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, it's
literally just sick the bounty hunters on you.
Like I said,
for breaking your bail.
Yeah, it's literally, it's a crazy system that just profits off of the misery of human beings. And
can you imagine if that's why
kicking them when they're down?
He had to go back with her because it was in charge of his bail. Yeah, this is all her perspective.
Well, no, yeah,
she's leaving out the parts where she's being a fucking bitch.
Well, I'm sure she's leaving out that parts, but that's why we're just talking from the point of the article, because we can only really
Right? I can
discussed
only
from
speculate how
what.
much she's like screwed him over that he has to come back and live with them.
Yeah. Um. But to say that we're not unfamiliar with the criminal world, but we had no idea this could happen when smoking marijuana, we're still reeling from all this. My son is lucky to be alive after his psychotic breaks and their results. We now have an insight into what it has done to him and how it is happening all across the country to a lot of kids. We are, as a family, getting professional help for his psychosis and for his addiction to cannabis. My husband and
Wow.
I are taking the NAMI course and going to meetings. We
What
are
the fuck is
also
that?
changing the dynamics of our house to ensure that we have the right boundaries in place so that we
What the
can help
this
our
is the
son.
NAMI course.
The NAMI course. Family to family course.
Mental illness awareness.
Uh,
So basically, the NAMI course is so that regular people, you know, not doctors,
yeah.
can tell other people, like, don't worry, I know the NAMI course. It's like saying, I know CPR.
Right.
Like,
So
oh, hey,
I know
I take the NAMI course. Your son is totally fucking addicted.
about mental illness because I took the NAMI.
I can identify that shit. Even if I'm not a trained doctor, I can identify it because I took the NAMI course, which certifies regular people,
Yeah, certifies my authority.
right? It certifies my authority on telling you that your fucking weed smoking son has a mental disorder.
Right.
Right.
Crazy. But the culture needs to be honest as well. Marijuana is not what everyone thinks it is. The public is being misled about weed, most likely because of the money others think it can generate for the states. State politicians need to ask themselves, is it worth it to allow this to happen to our kids? Cannabis addiction and psychosis are real, and the potency of cannabis is so flippin' out of control. If your family is experiencing what we have, don't be afraid to ask for help.
How much do you want to bet that the husband didn't even want to take that course? He was like, "We're gonna take the what? Why? Why do I have to take that course?"
It sounds like he wasn't even really involved in any of this. It sounds like it was just the mom always like calling
And
the
it's like, you
police
have to
and
take the
trying
course
to
with me. You have
hospitalize her
to.
son.
It's like, okay, fine, but I'm gonna be texting through most of the goddamn course. Not even gonna be half paying attention.
So not only does their graphics suck, not only is this whole story just really painting them in the worst possible light.
Their one-sided perspective reflects what's actually happening.
And their one side is so selfish and horrible. Their one side of it is literally we put our son into into psychiatric hospitals multiple times. We called the police on him after we kicked him out. We blamed it all on the weed.
He left to California to start a new life.
They're making it seem like he's completely incapable of making any decisions whatsoever as a human being, and that it's all the result of his psychotic breaks.
And probably had the hookup. Like the dude probably knew where we could.
Yeah, see, she's saying it was extremely hard as he was over the age of 18. So this is a full-grown fucking adult.
Right, and he just wanted to fucking smoke weed and live his own life. So he met a dude who was probably looking for a roommate and moved to Canada and moved back to California with him.
You know, I just can't get over the fact that they kicked him out. Like the fact that you say that you care about this person's well-being, but then you said, "Oh, well, because you can't kick this habit, we're gonna kick you out onto the streets." And then when he's out on the streets, he gets into dangerous situations, and then you blame it on the weed, not the fact that you fucking kicked him out of the house.
No, they just kept kicking him out of the house. They didn't even kick him out on the street. First they give him the ultimatum: we'll kick you out if you don't.
That was kicking him out.
Yeah, no, but look at the no. If you don't stop smoking, so he packed all his shit.
Right. That's
They
taking
said
him
he
out there.
packed it.
Yeah.
He packed up all of his stuff.
Yes.
So he had not only I can move to California and afford a place to live there in California and be able to carry all of my worldly possessions with me money. U-Hauls are like $2,000 on top of just the gas it takes to get to California. And then you have to have a place to hold all your stuff. I mean, this guy had moving money when they were telling him to get out. And he found a dude to live with and who probably had the hookup. And then, when he's busy living his life and can't answer the goddamn phone that much because, California is expensive. So he's probably working like 2 jobs just to afford the rent on his place and, food and fucking. I had a friend, he had to have like 2 jobs to afford being a roommate and afford his own food and stuff. But he was doing it. This dude lives all this best life. Maybe goes out drinking once in a while.
I mean, it's we're that's just still making some assumptions about how he's getting the money. I don't. It's just that part
Maybe
is
he's selling. Maybe he's selling too. Maybe he's fucking a dealer.
sure, but that part's irrelevant. The point is he's an adult.
He's a fully grown adult.
He's a fully grown
who
adult
seems to be getting money
and
and taking care of himself.
he's able to live wherever he wants, whether he's able to get
And
money or
have a
not.
cell phone. He had a cell phone that was, that he was paying for because he had a phone number that he could be contacted by at all.
I would love to interview the kid. I want to
I would
interview.
love to
I want to
this
interview
kid.
Kay. I want to see his side of it. But anyway, I think this is all just bullshit. Honestly, it blows my mind. Like I said, that they would actually put that they have a bail bond business.
Is that their son?
No, I can't. No, this is all. I don't know what the hell this is.
Wouldn't that be crazy if this child?
No, this is
that's
this
their
is
son,
propaganda.
that's
I don't know that
picture?
any of this is real. I think this is all bullshit.
Can you imagine if that's their son right there? And like they're forcing him to just take this fucking picture because they control him now? Because they've got him by the balls?
I'd tell him to shut it.
I would be so mad. I would be so fucking mad at them.
I would tell him to shut it. This is
just
not
your
about.
aunt.
This is Every Brain Matters, by the way. This is not about a war on drugs. This is about a defense of our brains, the repository of our humanity.
Right?
What they say, the science.
The science is important, Chad.
What is marijuana? Well, you're already calling it marijuana, so you're not going by the science.